Representatives Mihaela Plisa, Representative Ana Maria Rodriguez Ramos, and Representative Ron Reynolds, along with Kendall Scudder, the Texas Democratic Party chair. Thank all of you for joining me today. So first and foremost, we have some news here that was going back and forth. We had some reporting yesterday that the Texas Democrats were considering going back to Texas and ending the quorum break. So first and foremost, can you let us know one way or the other whether the Texas Democrats are seeking to stay out of Texas or return back to Texas?
Yeah. So thank you so much for asking this question. Look, the ball is really in Governor Abbott's court. What Texas Democrats promised Texans is that we will fight to kill this special session. And we feel like we have been successful. We've actually not only killed the special session, but we have brought nationwide attention to what is happening, not just in Texas, but in North Carolina and multiple states to come. So we are proud of the work that we've done. We're amazed by the moment that we have met, and that we are encouraging people that this is not, this is just the beginning of this fight. But really, honestly, the ball is in Governor Abbott's court. We're ready to get to work on flood victims, recovery, and rebuilding. But if they continue to put partisan party grabs, before the people, we're going to still have all tools on the table.
Well, looks like as of right now, the governor and these Texas Republicans have there's no indication that they're looking to relent on this fight to continue gerrymandering the maps in Texas. And so is it fair to assume that so long as that continues to be their top priority, that y'all are not going to go back to Texas, that you will continue on with this quorum break?
Well, the truth is we can't be out indefinitely, right? Like we can't be out till Thanksgiving or what have you. So we're working with other states. What that looks like in the return, eventually we will have to return. We are working, as our vice chairwoman said, with different states nationwide. And so we are going to have to land this plane at some point. What that looks like, we don't know just yet, but we do know that we're going to continue to fight in different ways to continue to bring attention to this extreme power grab.
I would just add, in addition to what my colleagues stated, they're absolutely correct. But in addition to that, we have changed the narrative. People are now across the country are waking up and saying, oh, crap, this is unprecedented. This is a mid-decade redistricting, a racial gerrymander that is going to disenfranchise communities of color across this country. Not on our watch, but we're going to allow a dictator, authoritarian president to take us back. We just celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that really allowed people who look like us, that didn't get a chance to participate in democracy, to have an opportunity to vote, to hold public office. And we're not going to allow President Trump and his MAGA extremists to take us back. So we've taken this fight not just to Texas, but across this country, and galvanize a movement with California, New York, and other states. So we have changed the narrative, and more importantly, we've channeled the strength in Democrats not to lay down and surrender to President Trump nor anyone else. So that's what my colleagues and I have done. We fought the good fight, and now we have raised the ante for other states to do the same thing.
I want to make a point that, my whole delegation they're political refugees right now. They have armed gunmen sitting outside their homes where their families are. They're being fined daily. They're away from their jobs. They're away from their families because they're trying to teach this country how to fight. And I want to know, how long does my delegation have to be in Chicago before blue state governors start acting? Why are they saying that they're going to respond when Texas does it? Do it now. Texas is already doing it. Democrats finally have the ball. Stop playing defense and play offense. And so, look, my delegation is sacrificing everything they can right now, and I don't see an end in sight. I think they're going to keep slogging. But regardless of how this thing plays out, I want to see our blue state governors fighting as hard as Texas Democrats.
Perfectly put. And that's actually what I want to get to at this point. We've seen some action. We had an announcement from Governor Newsom out in California today where he announced that he was moving forward with this redistricting plan, that it's going to be on the ballot on November 4th here in my state. What would your message be to these other governors? And we have a few states where we can actually go on offense, looking at Illinois, New York, Maryland, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, and I'm sure I'm missing some as well. But what would your message to those blue state governors, especially in states that are trifectas, to do in terms of right now, while you guys are not at home, getting fined daily, putting your safety at risk, and we have yet to see some definitive concrete action?
Well, I'd like to speak to that. It's important, and what you mentioned, different other blue state governors. The fight is not really just a Texas fight. It's a nationwide fight. We've seen Trump's economic failure. His agenda, the only avenue that we have to mitigate the consequences of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people losing their health care, millions of people losing their jobs, getting kicked out of their homes, people not being able to afford groceries. The last shot we have to mitigate the harmful impact that families are feeling and are going to be feeling tremendously within the next few weeks, if not months and years to come, are to stop this mid-decade redistricting or to equalize it with these other states. So it is important that we send that message to the other states, and we already have, but I think they're seeing it. The writing is on the wall. The Republicans, cannot run on their policy and their agenda. They're losing there. They're hurting people every day. And the blue state governors need to step up because it's hurting their people just like it's hurting us. So I think they've got the message, and we're going to continue to encourage that. And what we've done is bring to light what the Republicans are typically used to doing in the behind closed doors and the dark shadows of the night. And so it's encouraging to see that other blue state governors are speaking about it. But now it's time to put the pedal to the metal, right? We have to get this done.
And if I could just chime in two points also. These bad policies that we're seeing coming out of the Trump administration doesn't just affect Democrats. Republicans are going to feel the pain of this. Let me tell you, in the big bad bill, they made a tax exemption for tanning beds. They're choosing tanning beds over hospital beds in the United States of America. And that is going to be felt not just in Democratic states, but in Republican states all throughout the nation. And it's not just Democratic states that are standing up. Today, I stood with a delegation from Indiana. Now, they're the super minority in that legislature, but they feel what's coming for them. And they're ready to stand up. And legislatures in red states are ready to stand up. And I think some Republicans are ready to stand up against this too, as we've seen Representative Kiley from California, a Republican, file legislation in Congress to stop this corrupt mid-decade redistricting stuff. So it's not just a partisan Democratic issue. This is an American issue, and I'm proud to stand with all patriots against corruption.
I think that's such a good point that, look, I understand that there are both sides who gerrymander. I would also make the argument that Republicans benefit much more from gerrymandering than Democrats do. But the reality is there is one party in the United States that wants to eliminate gerrymandering nationwide, and that's the Democrats. And when H.R. 1 was put up for a vote, not a single Republican voted for it, and that included a provision banning gerrymandering nationwide. And so, yes, it is a race to the bottom. Yes, it is bad for democracy, but there is a solution right there available for everybody who wants to take it, and that is to ban gerrymandering nationwide. And so for all these Republicans who are claiming that Illinois is gerrymandered and Maryland is gerrymandered, yes, those are gerrymandered in very much the same way that Texas, Florida, Utah, North Carolina, Ohio, Wisconsin are all gerrymandered. But at the end of the day, there is a solution. It is a ban on gerrymandering nationwide, and only one party wants it. But it's available. And Kevin Kiley, to his credit, introduced this bill, although, the reason that he did it was pretty obvious, that he wants to protect himself. But you take what you can get at this point.
And I'll say Texas Democrats have just been kicked in the teeth and steamrolled for so long. We've got nothing left to lose. And so kind of at this point, what we're doing is we're looking around the country and saying, we're sick and tired of Democrats not fighting hard enough and fighting back. We're sick and tired of always rolling over and being on the losing side and trying to be the only adults in the room. We are ready to stand up and fight back against what I believe has just been a slow creeping constitutional crisis in gerrymandering. Yeah. And it's now upon us. This was one of the huge oversights of the founding fathers, was how these districts were drawn. We have an opportunity to rectify that. So maybe blue state Republicans will work with Democrats to get that done. I don't know. But in the meantime, Democrats around this country, whether they're in Texas or not, need to take this as a great excuse that we're handing you to fight like hell and take what we need to be able to protect this democracy. There have been plenty of folks that are in our ancestry, whether it's my granddaddy who fought in Vietnamese jungles or his dad that was on the beaches of Normandy. They've had to stand on the front lines to defend democracy. All we're asking these blue state Democrats to do is to legislate. That's how they get to save democracy. So step up and do it.
Couldn't have said it better. I got to ask y'all, because you all are from Texas, and Texas has a legacy. At least they like to say that they have a legacy of being able to stand up to any interference by any other states, any other politicians. That, you know, the last thing one would expect a Texan to do is bow down to some slick New York con man, some guy from Queens who has a history of just hawking a bunch of shit to his supporters. And so what does it say that you have these tough Texas Republicans out there who are all falling over themselves to bend the knee when Donald Trump, again, this politician from New York, comes and tells them what to do?
Well, I'll say that it shows that they're cowards, that they would submit to a con man from New York. And they normally rail on being Texas proud, that we're from the Lone Star State, that we're Texas tough. And here they are bending at the knee to a wannabe dictator that was a draft dodger from serving in the military, someone who has had multiple failed marriages, bankruptcies, 34 convicted felon, millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits for sexual assault and all kind of things. This is the one that they're bowing down to and kissing his ass. So it's embarrassing. It is an affront to the failed Republican leadership that they would do so. And it isn't a shame that they're Texas so-called leaders. It is a shame that they're doing this. Democrats are showing what real leadership looks like. You stand up to a bully, and if a bully threatens you, you hit him back. That is the only way that you get that bully's attention. These cowards are bowing at his knees like they're worshiping him, like he's some kind of freaking king, like they're afraid of him. They're submitting to his authority. And to me, they should be embarrassed. This is an embarrassment to the state. This is an embarrassment to the country. This is not the Texas that I know. When Democrats are in the majority, they'll show what real leadership looks like when we have the majority. And that is why elections matter. We need the people at home to pay attention and to vote these cowards out of office.
And I'd like to add, beyond them being cowards, in addition to them being cowards, they're callous and cruel. Because during COVID, tens of thousands of people, we had bodies stacked in the morgues. Tens of thousands of people were dying. We are the state with the highest uninsured rate in the country. During COVID, the governor did not call one special session, not one. People were dying. Teachers were quitting their jobs. Families were, everything was in disarray. Nobody knew. We were all suffering. Mm-hmm. He did not call one special session to help the people. During the freeze, there was no really remedy for families. And so now when a con man from New York calls and demands 5 seats, these cowards buckle. It speaks to their cruelty, it speaks to their callousness, but it also speaks to their desperation. They know they can't win on policy. They can't win on their agenda. They can't win on the ideas because they have none. They're taking orders from a con man. They as well are con men because they're conning the people out of where our focus should be, which is not only helping the flood victims, but also working toward mitigation of Trump's horrible bill and the economic impact it's going to make on working families in our states.
And if I could just
and
that's why platforms like this and what we're doing right now is so important, because these individuals, they thrive in misinformation. They thrive in societies that aren't informed as to what's happening. They can lob these attacks on us that we're abandoning our positions or we're cowards because they rely on an uneducated electorate. And so that's why we have to continue pushing on. We have to continue reaching people at all platforms to let them know what is truly happening and not to let them be fooled by these crooked, politicians.
I got to ask, when you've spoken to folks in your districts who you represent, certainly not everybody that you represent are Democrats. In your conversations, have you been able to connect with independents or Republicans who've seen this blatant power grab at the hands of these Texas Republicans and who've kind of expressed disgust or dismay at what they're doing, maybe even support for Democrats in the process?
I love this question, and I just really want to be the one to answer this because I represent a swing district in Collin County. And when I left on this quorum break, it was a priority of me to hold a town hall to let my constituency know why we're doing this and what's at stake. I'm telling you, I was blown away by the attendance. I had never had a town hall with 160 people show up. And I'll be honest, I was a little afraid at first because I didn't know, representing a swing district, who would show up. I had 158 individuals. They were cheering us on. 2 people a little upset, but they got handled in the comments. So I said all that. My staff said that's called being ratioed. I'm really happy that Texas Democrats are bringing the fight. We're winning the messaging war, and it's not just Democrats that are in it. It's independents and it's Republicans too. So this is really an American issue. This is not just a Democrat or Texas issue.
And I think Republicans also know that whatever, and independents, they understand the rarity in mid-decade redistricting. This is not something that's common. And they understand that politicians are picking their voters. And they don't like that no matter what party you're from, what state you're from. People do not like when politicians pick their voters. And they understand that this is what's happening right here. So overwhelmingly, they support us because they also see that if this happens, and it's happening in Texas, if we allow this to happen, then every election, if a politician doesn't like their voters, they can redistrict every single election. What does that mean for democracy? We then no longer have a democracy. We're not only flipping into authoritarianism, but fascism, right? Where voices are silenced overwhelmingly. At some point, you won't even have elections because there'll be no need for that. And I think no matter what party you're from, people understand this.
And Brian, I'll say, it doesn't matter how you voted in the past. Today's Republican Party is a coalition of trust fund babies and class traders doing the work of the billionaire class and not of working class people. If you work for a living, you don't got any business voting for the Republican Party anymore. They've promised you they wouldn't slash Medicare and Medicaid. What did they do? They slashed Medicare and Medicaid. They shut down rural hospitals. They made your energy costs more expensive, pushing the largest tax increase on working class families in my lifetime with these tariffs. They ain't doing the work of you and me, okay? They're doing the work of their donors and their owners. Donald Trump's a billionaire with his gold-plated name on the outside of a gold building where he shits in a gold toilet. They don't care about you. And the Democrats are out here throwing down, fighting back, making sure that people who work for a living actually get a fighting chance. So it doesn't matter how you voted in the past. It's how you're voting now. And moving forward, working people are sticking together and voting for Democrats.
Well said. To that point, one small step that we can all take, everybody watching right now, to support the work that these Texas Democrats are doing, to support the conditions that they're staying in right now, to support them in their fight, please donate to the Texas Democrats. I'm going to put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. It is, again, a small step that we can all take to show some support for the fight that they're engaging in right now. Highly recommend, if you have anything to contribute, that would really go a long way. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for engaging in this fight. Look, I know I speak for a lot of people in saying that we know that the conditions that you're staying in are obviously subpar, that there are security issues, that you're away from your family, that there are folks who have young children or elderly relatives or parents that you would normally care for, that you have other jobs that you have to go to, and spouses that you have to be with. But the fact that you're there, I know is not where you want to be, but there's so much support and appreciation for everybody out here in terms of what you're doing. So thank you so much for making this sacrifice. And again, like I wish I even had words to express our gratitude for what you all are doing and for the sacrifices that you've made. But suffice it to say, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for nothing.
very much.
Appreciate the platform.
Register to vote.